Hi and welcome to the DCG subject introduction here with Mr. Brennan. So just to start off, I suppose the DCG is an extension of Junior Cert Technical Graphics, which some of you guys would have taken from first until third year. Obviously, like most senior cycles subjects, it will be quite different. It will be more challenging, it will be slightly more difficult, and it will be asking a small bit more of the student from an application point of view. I'm just going to go through some of the subject content that some of you might recognise and the main differences between technical graphics and DCG. So to start off, first of all, I suppose the main difference is you'll notice the difference in the classroom. The DCG classroom is kitted out with 24 PCs, which are different to any other PC in the school, and the main difference is that they have SolidWorks downloaded onto them, and I'll run through what SolidWorks is. 60% is your regular drawing, okay, so your exam at the end of 6th year will account for 60% of your overall grade, whereas your project will be worth 40%, and that will be carried out mostly on computers, but there will be some sketching involved as well. So from a theory perspective, you'll have your section A, your section B, and your section C, and I'm just going to flick through now quite quickly some of the topics that you will be going through, such as perspective, axonometrics, solids in contact, tangential planes, and conics. So whoever has taken technical graphics from first to third year might recognise the topics such as perspective, axonometric projection, conic sections, oblique plane, which will be relatively new, intersecting planes, which will be completely new, intersecting solids, and our final section, which will be completely new to all students, which really looks at real life examples and using an application of your technical drawing to apply it to real life, I suppose. These are geologic geometry, which deals with the Earth's surface and its application to roadways, and dynamic mechanisms where we talk about gears and linkages, etc. So that is the theory course, the 60% in a nutshell. As I said, it does ask a small bit more of the student in relation to visualization and application of your knowledge. But if you did enjoy technical graphics from first year to third year, I would really recommend you keeping on DCG. Obviously the project is something that it comes to an awful lot of people's attention, and people are quite worried about it and asking questions such as, do I have to be good at computers? Do I have to be good at sketching? And the answer is no. We teach it from scratch. So even if you don't feel quite capable on a computer, you will be taught the exact same as everybody else from the start of 5th year. You'll be given an introductory course into the use of SolidWorks and how the project is actually put together. So I suppose the easiest way to give you an introduction is to briefly talk you through a sample assignment from last year. So every year, ordinary level and higher level DCG get issued with two different briefs, and last year's brief was a headset. So students had to research a headset, had to compare different headsets together, had to look at the factors which influenced the design of the headset, sketch out a headset, and eventually produce their own headset on 3D modeling program, which is our SolidWorks program. So to start off, this is a sample project. This is a research page. The first two are research pages. The second two, he picked two different headsets and he compared them against each other under a number of headings. He sketched out one of those headsets and the various features and broke it down into the geometry that makes up the headset. He then produced a CAD drawing of this, which is produced on SolidWorks. And finally, a photorealistic view, which is a real life kind of a view which shows the different textures and the different materials represented in the headset. The second part of the project, he had to design his own themed headset, and this particular design was based on the idea of an eco-friendly kind of, and to highlight the issue of global warming. So you can see how his design and how the inspiration shows, his sketches show the inspiration from concept to reality. Here's his sketch page trying to communicate the idea of his headset, and then he had to make that headset on the SolidWorks program. And there's the photorealistic representation of his global warming headset. So hopefully in some way that gave you a small bit of an insight into what the project is about. Now, it might look quite daunting as an incoming 5th year to see that quality of work, but there is an awful lot of effort put into that project. It takes about 3.5 to 4 months to complete. and you will be trained and fully supported in completing that project. So the SolidWorks program, just a brief video from YouTube here to show how it works. Basically, you start off and you draw in 2D. If I click through the video, you can see I can then make that a 3D object by extruding it. So this is the 3D design that we're talking about. If we go on, then we can add additional parts to that. Eventually we can make a drawing of the part and see how it works in a full assembly, maybe as part of a machine or a linkage as shown. So many of the questions that arise, what can DCG lead to in terms of career paths? And you're looking at the likes of architecture, construction management, product design, animation, and even teaching. I suppose the major differences between technical graphics and Leaving Cert DCG is there's enhanced emphasis being put on creativity and design and a problem solving approach. By all means, the technical drawing is still very much present, and you can see that in the 60%. It is the main difference between technical graphics and Leaving Cert DCG. Possibly the most common question I get from incoming fifth years is, do I have to have completed Junior Cert Technical Graphics in order to take DCG at Leaving Cert level? And it is a bit of a grey area. I would strongly recommend that you have taken Technical Graphics at Junior Cert level, because it sets up a small bit of a scaffolding effect, and it gives you that prior knowledge that you do need for the drawing. And as we said, the drawing is a huge part of DCG. Now, I have had cases of students who have a strong interest in a career in animation or product design or architecture, and they thought that DCG was really stand to them in that career path. And what I did was I gave them some work that they could be working on over the summer after they had completed their TY or their third year, and it brought them up to speed for where they needed to be for the start of fifth year. But again, I put a massive emphasis on it. The drawing is a huge part, and you will be very much behind if you haven't completed technical graphics or you haven't completed that work over the summer after your transition year or third year. Any student who does have an issue with that, or who does have a query in relation to technical graphics, by all means you can make contact with me by email, gbrennan@portlaoiscbs.com. Okay, so I hope this video has been some way helpful in your subject selection. I suppose just to sum up, there's 60% is for your theory, for your drawing, which will be carried out with your T-squared, your set squares, and the 40% is a project, which is very much a graphical communication project. You're given a brief. In the example I gave was the headset. You have to research all different types of headsets. You have to sketch headsets. You have to look at the factors which influence the design of a headset. Then you use the SolidWorks program to make your own headset. And the SolidWorks program, it's not, the full 40% is not just in relation to SolidWorks. That's a very important concept to try and grasp, that it's not 40% for SolidWorks, it's 40% for the project, and SolidWorks is part of that project. As well as that, as I said, you get an awful lot of support and an awful lot of training from the very start of fifth year on how to use SolidWorks, how to use the computers, and what actually drives the project itself. And I suppose one final thing to mention is, and I know that all current fifth years and current sixth years who are taking DCG will stand over this. It's a very much student driven subject. You're given your work. There's a lot of independence, a lot of independent learning. We even use a program called DCG Solutions, which every student has online access to, which looks something like this. So every student will have their own student package which they can log on to, and every single question which they do in their class time, there's an allocated solution located here online, which can be accessed through their iPad or their phone. So for example, if we were carrying out an orthographic projection question and we were doing sheet number 9 is talked through here, and it's very helpful for students to be carrying out homework and carrying out independent work in their own time, and it's also very accessible and useful for the revision. So I'm aware that's probably an awful lot of information for you to be taking in at once. But I would stress that if you did enjoy Junior Cert Technical Graphics from first to third year, or you are a student who hasn't completed that and you have a strong interest in it, don't let the computers turn you off, or don't let the sketching turn you off, or don't let the use of SolidWorks turn you off and think you mightn't be as good at that. You will get an awful lot of training, an awful lot of support, and you will really, really enjoy it. Speak to any of the fifth years and any of the sixth years, and an awful lot of students enjoy the subject. They've chosen to do it, and I hope to see an awful lot of new faces in DCG next year. I just want to thank you for listening, and as I said, I hope to see you in the classroom next year.